Good morning, everyone. Coach Garrett said a lot of great things. He means a lot to me, and we'll get into that a little bit with the speech. It's not going to be as short as Miss Anita's, so if you guys were expecting that, you're going to be mistaken. I got a little bit more detail to go into. But it's a pleasure to be here. Again, if you don't know me, my name's Chad Frazier. I graduated in 2018, and I want to start off to say congratulations to everyone else that's here, the prior inductees, and also the other current members. It was a pleasure to get to see a lot of you play, whether it's hitting home runs, dunking, scoring a bunch of touchdowns, interceptions, you name it. It was a pleasure to be here when you guys were here to see your excellence. We'll be able to give you all a round of applause here very soon. Being inducted into the Hall of Fame is something that I don't think I would have imagined or pictured myself when I first got to campus in the fall of 2014. I'm very humbled and grateful for this moment to be in front of you all. I want to thank Concord University as a whole. Without this institution here, what we do here would not be, just not be doable. You gave me the opportunity to compete, to earn an education, and a foundation for everything that has come in my life after leaving this prestigious university. We had support from professors, from the dining staff, and the entire community as a whole. Miss Peggy back there is someone that I was very close with throughout my time here as part of the dining staff, and so seeing her warm face this morning was fantastic. To my coaches, now I had a few coaches. I didn't start here. I transferred in. Originally, it was Coach Wright, Coach Bansells, Coach Costa were when I first got here, and then Coach Garrett and Devin Smith kind of took over after the fact. But I want to thank you all for pushing me beyond what I thought was capable in a day in, day out basis. You instilled discipline, accountability, heart, and to always do the little things to the best of your ability and live your life to the fullest. To my teammates, I don't think I see anybody here that I was teammates with, but that's okay. Hopefully you guys will get this message at some point. It was a pleasure to share the diamond with you. The friendships and the brotherhood that we built were lifelong. I've been in some of your weddings, amongst other things, and now you guys are having kids, which is crazy to witness. We had a lot of fun on and off the field. We had some 6 a.m. mandatory lifts, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know what that's like, because they are not they're not. You didn't have the option, really, is basically what I was trying to say. We did have extra hitting in the gym afterwards. We had road trips in little 10-passenger vans. We were packed in there like sardines. You really got close with your teammates in those settings. We even got some very healthy post-game meals. We got Little Caesars $5 pizzas. So Coach Bailey, hopefully we can bump up the post-game meals maybe a little bit more. I know budget can be tight though. But we went through everything together, in school, out of school. You challenged me, supported me, and made the grind worth it. And I will cherish that bond on and off the field for the rest of my life. And while a lot of us have gone our separate ways, it's great to be able to see all the accomplishments that they all have had and be able to not miss a beat when we're all back together. To the athletic training staff, you guys are the unsung heroes. You kept all the athletes, not just myself, in as peak condition as possible. And thank you for doing what you do on a daily basis as well. Your timeless work behind the scenes does not go unnoticed, and so we really appreciate that. And actually, one of my former teammates, James Wood, is now the current head AT at Concord, so kudos to him for that. And arguably, most importantly, to my family, Mom, Dad, Rachel, thank you for everything that you did. You never missed a game. Every weekend you drove from Roanoke to who knows where we were playing, all across the East Coast. Know how far the drive was, how cold the weather was. I got Dad in his hunting gear when we were playing Notre Dame with lake effect snow in March. Like, I can't feel my hands. Coach Garrett has like 18 layers of gloves on and heating pads, and he's like, "It's not cold, guys." It's like, "Okay, Coach, whatever you say." It seems like all that work that we used to do growing up in the backyard, hitting plastic golf balls with a broomstick, throwing extra to Dad throwing extra BP, or throwing after work, that tireless energy has definitely paid off moving forward to where my career ended up. Dad, sorry about your teeth. If you want to send me the bill later, you can, since you lost a couple. Thank you for your support. It never wavered. I really appreciate it. This moment is yours just as much as it's mine, and I know you miss it as much as I do, especially with the relationships that you built with other teammates and their parents. We were all a big family. Thank you again for the unconditional love. I love you all dearly. So I got a little bit more. Kind of want to just dive into how I ended up as a mountain lion, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of the career stuff, and I got a couple other funny stories, and we'll wrap it up. So growing up, I wasn't the biggest player, not the fastest, not the strongest. I didn't have elite speed, not a lot of power. My arm was kind of a noodle arm back in the day. I was really only 100 pounds when I was in high school, and that was as a senior, so I was like this big. But what I liked physically, I made up for with grit and determination, and Coach Garrett touched on that a little bit with my mindset of how I approach the game. And I learned early on that if I wanted to compete and make it to the next level, I had to work a little bit harder than everybody else. And that's how that mindset shaped how I played the game. Some of those attributes, they don't show up on a scouting report. Heart, hustle, toughness, those are things I try to bring to the table every day, not only in athletics, but also in my day-to-day life. Some of you guys may know Dustin Pedroia. That's who I try to base my game upon. He was, a little undersized, but he played with just the tenacity and was an incredible player at the highest level. I wasn't highly recruited out of college. I only had one scholarship offer, and that was to Francis Marion. Ended up getting redshirted. And I was told at the end of that year that if I wanted to continue my career, I would have to look elsewhere. Talk about a curveball. On the last day of my freshman year, I worked out for 2 JUCOs, and then I drove straight to the beach to be with my parents, and then I really had to figure out where my next steps were. Luckily enough, I played at a collegiate summer league in Roanoke. A couple of my teammates, or former teammates, Zach Kelly and Paul Williams, were on that team, and they knew I was looking and reached out to Concord, and they came to watch me play, and kind of the rest is history. So my freshman year, not great. I had a measly 227, and then going into my sophomore year, Coach Garrett took over. There was a lot of uncertainty there. It was my 3rd head coach in 3 years. I really had to work for everything that I got. And a little funny thing is I used to be very patient as a hitter. I was not after Coach Garrett took over. He used to tell me that, he used to give me the hit sign, 0-0 count, and if I didn't, then he was going to bench me. So that spring, he followed through on that promise, and he sat me the first 2 games of my redshirt sophomore year. So, and I'm pretty sure I was cussing him under my breath the entire time out at UNCP. But Coach always had methods to his madness, and I think what he did lit a fire under me, because I played the next 48 games straight and hit 386 that year. Junior year started with a bang, quite literally. My first at bat, first pitch was a home run, an absolute rocket to left center. And I was thinking to myself once I got him back to the dugout that if I could keep this up for the entire year, we could have something pretty special. Turns out, I ended up hitting 421 that year with a 502 on base percentage. And like Coach Garrett mentioned, there were a lot of accolades that came with that. So a few stories that otherwise stick with me, just being at Concord. Coach touched on it a little bit. I was a biology major. Concord's curriculum is tough. It's usually ranked in the top 50 on the East Coast. So some days I'd walk straight from practice or straight from a test to practice, or I'd be late for labs or have to leave practice early for labs. So they worked with me a lot. But those days I had tests or something, I'd show up in a fog, and I would just be basically a zombie out there just running around. What I didn't realize at the time is that Coach Garrett picked up on that. He would quietly ask our catchers, if I had, did Chad have a test that day? And it was almost a resounding yes. So I think Coach went a little easier on me those days because normally I was the guy he made an example out of. There's one practice that kind of stands out to me. We were having a terrible day. We couldn't play catch, like the basic things. We couldn't do anything right. Everyone was messing up, and I finally threw a ball down Anderson Hill. And he finally yelled directly at me and said, "Figure it, the Chad." And you can fill in the blanks on that one. I froze, kind of turned around and said, "Yes, sir." And then I think I cussed him all the way back to shortstop. And I was like, well, why is he being so tough on me? And as I've gotten older and went through school and things like that, I realized now that not only Coach Garrett knew not how to just get the best of me, but the entire team. That the standard he set for us never wavered. He knew exactly how to challenge me to lead, to focus and play to my best of his abilities day in and day out. He demanded a lot, but he also knew when to give grace. And for that, I'm incredibly thankful, and ultimately allowed me to become the player I was at Concord. I do want to say one more thing about Wes. He's been, I think I was his first class that he was all the way through from start to finish, his first 4-year class. And without him, for all of us athletes here, what he does, being able to put in our stats and things like that to make sure they're completely up to date and on top of things is unmatched. I had the pleasure of being able to work with him for work study, so I did spend a lot of time with him, and so I really appreciate what he does, and he's definitely the best SID guy in the country. So baseball has given me more than I could ever imagine, and today it's given me this moment with you all. It's a pleasure to share it with you. That's one that I'll carry for the rest of my life. Thank you all for being here and being part of the journey. Go Mountain Lions.